But it is incredibly brave to take this stance after you've made $300, $400 million not being woke, right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comments, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came. So I call this BFR. It's blackface reparations. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces. So this is a form of restitution. Maybe he says, you know, if I'm woke too, the crocodile will eat me last, but they always do eat. But I get it. He flipped from populist to elitist because now he's with elitists. He's living in the Hamptons. What would the Stern of now think of the Stern of before?
Howard Stern built his career on being untouchable, but this time, even his sharp tongue couldn't shield him. And just when the storm hit its peak, Greg Gutfeld stepped in, not with sympathy, but with a jab so ruthless it left audiences stunned. The reason? A $100 million defamation lawsuit tied to Donald Trump, and the bizarre media circus that followed. It all started with a story no one saw coming. Reports began circulating that Howard Stern, once the undisputed king of shock radio, was now at the center of a jaw-dropping $100 million defamation lawsuit linked to Donald Trump. The details were murky at first, but that didn't stop the headlines from exploding. Some outlets claimed it was tied to Stern's recent comments about Trump's business dealings. Others hinted it was connected to behind-the-scenes jabs that supposedly went too far. For decades, Stern thrived on controversy. He built a brand out of pushing boundaries and laughing in the face of outrage. But this time felt different. It wasn't just another celebrity feud or rating stunt. This was legal firepower, the kind that could drag even the loudest voice into a courtroom.
Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Ugh. Not that I like that Stern, but this pendulum swing from saying the most tasteless thing in the universe to putting your balls in a Tic Tac container. You gotta wonder what's going on here. It's striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate.
And the irony, it came at a time when Stern's critics had already been calling for his cancellation, accusing him of losing his edge and catering to the very establishment he used to mock. The stage was set, a fading radio legend facing a massive legal battle, a political heavyweight's name stamped all over it and the smell of media blood in the water. And that's when Greg Gutfeld, never one to pass up an easy target, entered the scene. Greg Gutfeld didn't waste a second turning Stern's misfortune into primetime material. On his Fox News panel, he opened with that trademark smirk, the one that tells you the punchline is going to cut deep. Without naming names right away, he described a certain self-proclaimed rebel who had spent decades mocking everyone else, only to crumble the moment the spotlight turned on him. Then with perfect comedic timing, he dropped the hammer. Turns out, the king of all media just got dethroned by the king of all lawsuits. The audience erupted, and Gutfeld wasn't done. He painted Stern as the ultimate example of a cultural shift. Someone who built a career on saying the unsayable, now allegedly lawyering up to protect himself from the same raw criticism he used to dish out. His jabs were brutal, but calculated, weaving in references to Stern's old on-air antics and contrasting them with his more restrained, politically correct persona of recent years.
I mean, talk about a transition. On Tuesday, he conducted an interview with Kamala Harris that was so simpering and feminine, I got my period while listening to it. You should hear what keeps him up at night.
This is what keeps me up at night. I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. To keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one.
The roast worked on two levels. It landed as comedy for viewers who never liked Stern, and it stung as a reminder to Stern's longtime fans that their fearless radio icon might not be so fearless anymore. And as the segment wrapped, Gutfeld teased there was more dirt to come on Stern's situation. Whether he actually had more or was just stirring the pot didn't matter. By then, social media was already buzzing. The reason Gutfeld's mockery caught fire wasn't just because it was funny. It was because it tapped into a growing narrative about Howard Stern that had been simmering for years. Stern's older fans remembered him as the guy who didn't care who he offended, who took on politicians, celebrities, and even his own bosses without blinking. But in recent years, critics claimed he'd gone soft, trading shock value for safe interviews with A-listers and leaning into political takes that alienated a big chunk of his original audience. Add Trump into the mix, and you had a cultural powder keg. Stern and Trump had a complicated history, once friendly enough for multiple interviews, now publicly at odds. The idea that their feud had escalated into a 9-figure legal battle was irresistible for tabloids and cable news alike. It gave both sides, Stern loyalists and Trump supporters, plenty of ammo to argue over, and in today's media landscape, nothing spreads faster than a controversy that feels personal to both camps.
This whole idea, if you like me, you're good, and if you don't, you're bad. I mean, I've been the victim of this. I don't hate the guy. I hate the people who vote for him. I think they're stupid. I do. I'll be honest with you. I have no respect for you.
I haven't listened to him in a while, but I have for many, many years.
Yeah, me too.
And he's going the route my mother went. When you get to a certain age, you get radicalized. It happened to her. It's happening to him. He doesn't care anymore. He's rich. He hates Trump. He really hates Trump. He hates people that vote for Trump. He does think they're stupid.
On social media, the story became less about the lawsuit's actual merits and more about what it symbolized. The fall of a legend, the shifting lines of what's acceptable to say, and the irony of a man who once mocked everyone now becoming the butt of the joke. Every new meme, every sarcastic tweet just poured more gasoline on the fire, and Greg Gutfeld had lit the match. Once Gutfeld's segment hit the air, the ripple effect was instant. Clips of his roast were chopped into bite-sized TikToks, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels, racking up millions of views in hours. Late-night commentators weighed in, some applauding the jab, others accusing Gutfeld of kicking a man while he was down. But whether you loved him or hated him, one thing was clear. His comments had reignited the Stern debate in a way that even the lawsuit itself hadn't managed to. Talk radio hosts across the country suddenly had fresh material, and they used it to either defend Stern's legacy or dismantle it piece by piece. Political podcasts framed it as a broader conversation about free speech, hypocrisy, and the price of staying relevant in a changing media world. Even celebrity gossip outlets, which normally wouldn't give Stern much attention these days, plastered headlines about his public humiliation, right alongside the latest Hollywood scandals. The real kicker? Every time Stern's camp stayed silent, it only made the speculation louder. The absence of a fiery rebuttal from the man who built his empire on never holding back became its own headline.
Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, we used to have fun. You know when he went down? No, before, when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
And as the noise reached a fever pitch, Gutfeld doubled down, tweeting out a single cryptic line. Funny how the king falls when the court's in session. It was short, sharp, and guaranteed to keep the spotlight burning. For days, Howard Stern said nothing. No on-air monologue, no social media clapback. Not even a cryptic comment for fans to dissect. And for a man whose entire brand was built on never shutting up, that silence spoke volumes. Some insiders whispered that his legal team had urged him to stay quiet, that even a single off-the-cuff remark could be used against him in court. Others claimed Stern was simply stunned, caught between defending himself publicly and protecting whatever strategy his lawyers were cooking up. Meanwhile, the silence became its own kind of spectacle. Every day he didn't respond, the speculation grew. Was he afraid of escalating the fight with Trump? Was he trying to wait out the media frenzy? Or, perhaps worst of all for his image, had Gutfeld's roast actually struck a nerve? When Stern finally broke his silence, it wasn't in the fiery, unapologetic style people expected. Instead, it was a brief, carefully worded statement through his publicist, calling the lawsuit baseless and politically motivated. No jokes, no personal shots, just the kind of sterile, legal-safe language that might work in a courtroom but did nothing to put out the flames in the court of public opinion. And for many watching, that was the real turning point. Proof that the fearless king of radio might finally be playing defense. Stern's predicament wasn't just another celebrity scandal, it was a case study in how quickly the balance of power can shift in modern media. In the 90s and 2000s, he was the disruptor, the outsider who could say the things no one else dared to. But in today's climate, where every word is dissected, clipped, and weaponized, even legends can find themselves on the defensive. The Trump lawsuit, whether it held legal weight or not, became the perfect storm for Stern's critics. It blurred the line between political warfare and entertainment drama, allowing everyone from cable news hosts to Twitter trolls to frame it in whatever narrative suited them. For some, it was proof that Stern had become the very thing he used to ridicule: cautious, corporate, and unwilling to take risks. For others, it was a cautionary tale about what happens when you tangle with the wrong political figure in the wrong era. And Greg Gutfeld's role in all of this? He didn't just mock Stern, he crystallized the shift in public perception. With one segment, he turned a complicated legal battle into a digestible cultural moment, the dethroning of a self-proclaimed king. It was satire doing what satire does best, cutting through the noise and leaving a scar. By this point, it was clear the fight wasn't just about money or defamation. It was about identity, legacy, and the unforgiving nature of an audience that never forgets. Howard Stern once thrived on living dangerously, pushing buttons, crossing lines, and turning outrage into your ratings gold. But now, he's learning what it feels like to be on the other side of the punchline, where every word is a potential liability, and every silence is a story in itself. The $100 million lawsuit may take months or even years to play out in court, but in the arena of public opinion, the verdict is delivered in real time. Greg Gutfeld saw an opening and took it, reducing a complex legal and political mess into a single, unforgettable moment of ridicule. And whether you think it was justified or just mean-spirited, the truth is simple. In the age of 24/7 outrage, it's not always the loudest voice that wins. It's the one that lands the cleanest hit. So the real question isn't whether Stern can beat the lawsuit, it's whether he can reclaim the fearlessness that made him a legend, or if this chapter will be remembered as the moment the king of all media finally lost his crown. If you guys liked today's video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.